Hi, and welcome to the Commissioner's Report. I'm your host, Jeff Foley, and I'm joined today by brand new Commissioner Michael Scott. He's the Commissioner of District 5. He is a business owner, he is a car racer, and he is a brand new Commissioner. Welcome, Commissioner Scott.
Thank you, Jeff. It's a pleasure to be here today.
So we're about a week into being a Commissioner, is that right?
Yes, sir, it is.
What are your impressions so far?
You know, it's really everything I thought it would be and a lot more. The responsibilities are immense, but the challenges are real, and I think making an impact on the community is certainly in front of me in a way that I can make a big change.
And I know you're a busy guy outside of being a commissioner for Polk County. Talk a little bit about what you do in your everyday life, if you don't mind.
Sure. So every day I'm a father of two and married to my beautiful wife, April. For business-wise, Wright Trailers is a company that I founded 20 years ago in this great county of Polk County. And today we've grown to 6 locations in 4 different states. So certainly there's obligations on a daily basis, but I've got great managers at each of the sites and really great staff that have led the dealerships to their success today. And we plan on to keep growing that and having fun with that.
And you race cars as well?
Just a little bit, yes.
Yeah.
We actually did a Great American Teach-In event yesterday, and one of the questions that I got asked was we brought our cars for presentation. My kids race, and I race, and so we had several cars on display. And one of the kids raised their hand, the first grader, and says, "Mr. Scott, why do you have so many cars?" I'm like, I guess it's a bad habit, but no.
There are worse things you could do.
Exactly, but we really do enjoy it. It helps promote the business. And for us, you know, I look at back when I was in elementary school, outreach programs like DARE, and they brought a car, and that was really in core memory. I never forgot that. And so to me, if we can just impact a few of the kids in that same way, give them motivation to work harder, study harder, do better in school, to me, that's all worth it in the end.
So you're a husband, a dad, a business owner. You've obviously got a pretty active hobby. What made you want to add commissioner to the plate? What made you decide to run for commissioner?
Yeah, so about 5 years ago, I kind of looked at the landscape of what it took in the county to make a bigger difference than a voice of one. And so from 2019, 2020 and onward, just kind of studied. And like I did when I was in college, and understanding what the roles were of a commissioner, what we can do, what we can't do, and how influential we can be. And through my past life as an engineer, civil engineer, I really learned that commissioners do have a strong voice when you look at representing a larger part of the population of a county. So for me, that meant that I could step into a role and potentially have a very large and lasting impact. And that was really the push to be a county commissioner.
And I'm sure you feel a responsibility to represent your family, your children, but does it feel heavy to know that you're representing 800,000 residents in this county as well?
Yeah, you know, I've thought about that number a lot because it certainly is a large set of people. But I realize a lot of us have common goals and common aspirations, and the wants and desires we have for the county really are shared independent of the party, which way you vote. It looks at, you know, for our life now and then for our kids, we all want to be better tomorrow. And so for me, yes, certainly is a large number, but just like managing a large business, you kind of look at it piece by piece, and how can we improve those pieces to make the whole better.
I'm going to guess that you are a process-driven person.
Well, yeah, absolutely, yeah. The engineering mind doesn't go away, for sure.
And so, was there anything as you were deciding to run, were there any issues in the community? Was there anything that felt significant to you that you wanted to make sure you have an impact on? Yeah,
I think one of the biggest challenges we face is what I call the roadmap for Polk County. And it's not how you drive from one edge of the county to the other, but how we develop. How are we going to best provide a future for our kids, for our grandkids, for those that don't even know about Polk County and maybe want to move here one day? You know, how do we give them the quality of life that we've experienced now and ensure that lasts tomorrow? So when we look at our infrastructure of roads and water, wastewater, when we look at how we develop, you know, where the dense populations are, where we should have rural opportunities, those to me are very important. And establishing and kind of showing those that are going to move to the county in the future, or even developers, you know, how we want the county to grow. And to me, that's very important and one of the biggest challenges that we face.
So talk to me, Commissioner Scott, a little bit about how should the county grow? How should communities work? How should they function? What would be efficient and effective with growth?
Yeah, I think, you know, going back to, I was never a certified land planner, but I worked with a lot of land planners in my past life as an engineering consultant. So for me, it's one of those going to traditional methods of growing. You know, you have kind of city centers that are your densely populated areas, and as you grow out from the city centers, you get to less and less density. But you look for opportunities for infill. You know, where there's several projects going on throughout the county now that maybe were former industrial areas or just vacant land kind of in between these two densely populated areas, and now there's projects that are building multifamily apartments, different infrastructure there, that to me is a great use of that space. So how can we leverage some of those opportunities? How can we incentivize those areas to be developed so they're not, kind of vacant land, or at least, abandoned. Nothing else is worse, I think, than an eyesore of driving through a beautiful city and then you get just to the outskirts and you see this, kind of looks a little bit decimated. What can we do to revitalize those areas? And for those that have done it in the past, we've really seen great success for the community surrounding it, supporting it, people living, working, and playing all in that one area, which is great to see.
Would it be fair to say that building with a purpose would be a goal?
Yeah, I think with the purpose of the common good is probably an extension of that. So we don't want to just necessarily say here is a singular focus or a purpose for this particular group of people or for this particular developer, but overall from a county perspective, how does that look, and where do we have resources? If we are limited on a resource of water or wastewater, transportation, we have to consider that. And what is the future plan for getting those infrastructure pieces in place? And if that makes sense for future growth, then we allow that. Otherwise, we kind of have to guide and say, hey, here's where these things are going to be. Here's where we should really consider developing.
So you've obviously placed your roots in Polk County. You've built your family here. You've built your business here. What do you think it is about Polk County that has 80 people a day moving here?
A lot of the things I grew up with still exist today, and that is what I call the community strength. When you go to a grocery store, people are still friendly and smile and will talk to you like it's a small town. We are over 800,000 people, so it's certainly not a small town, but you still get that feel. And there's opportunities to go to petting zoos and see animals and wildlife, and you can go to the multiple parks that we have throughout the county and see a lot of Mother Nature. You're not surrounded by asphalt and concrete and buildings, although there's city centers where you can have that. So to me, it offers a lot to a variety of people, meaning that if you want to live in a downtown setting, you have the opportunity to do so. If you want to live out in the country, you can do that as well. And it's really, really, really easy on transportation if you want to go to a theme park to the East Coast or West Coast, or if you want to go out of state even. For us, we love it because we race a lot. And to go out of Florida is, 4 hours, you're already in Georgia. Or you go down to South Florida, you can go to the beautiful Keys. So to me, Polk County offers a lot when you look at centric location, but also the quality of offerings that we have for those people. To me, that would make it very popular.
And how old are your children?
So my son is 15 and my daughter is 13.
And what do they think about their dad becoming a commissioner?
Yeah, they see it as a challenge. They certainly are very supportive of it. I look at it as a way to show them of taking a role of leadership and making change. We talked a lot about the challenges facing the county before I even really talked about going to this level of leadership as a commissioner. And for them, they asked Dad, how can we be a bigger voice? To me, this is how you can be that.
And so as you get settled into the job, what do your days look like now? What do you think they'll look like moving forward?
Very organized. It certainly is one of those things. I look at it when I was an engineering consultant. We obviously had lots of meetings, but I led projects that were multi-million-dollar projects that had to be executed by certain dates. We had several agencies and stakeholders involved. So really, this is very similar to several large projects, and we have to be able to understand the stakeholders that we're working with. We have to understand the limitations that we have to be confined by, in sometimes good and sometimes bad ways. And then how do we work through that best with our team? And the county, I can already tell you, being here a very short period of time, we've got great staff on board that are very knowledgeable of what this county has done, what it can do, and very, very good insight as to where we should go. And for me, I'm super excited about working with those staff I've met so far and those I still have yet to meet.
Could you talk about the things that are at the top of your list right now, the things that are most important to you that, in the first year or so you're hoping to have an influence on? Yeah,
well, one of the things I set out for, this goes back when my son was playing t-ball, the parks within Polk County, I think, are a great asset to the county. They offer a lot of amenities, but we need to do, I think, better on maintaining some of those parks. We need to make some improvements. We did just recently down off of Highway 555, with Bartow and Polk County working together, that park has got a whole revitalized look to it, better amenities. To me, we need to do that across the county in several of these parks, and that's one of my top priorities. Because as a family, I can tell you we've visited parks a lot, and that's great weekend getaway time. There's no phones, there's no distractions, you're just focused on your family. and I want to give that opportunity to those throughout the county.
So making sure the county residents maintain a quality of life despite the growth all around us, et cetera.
Absolutely, yeah. So where can we add, adding parks is going to be a topic. I mean, that's one of those things as we continue to grow as a county. Again, we don't want to have less amenities for those that are moving to the county. How can we afford them the same quality of life we have now?
So I know you've got an engineering background, you've got an entrepreneurial spirit. Talk a little bit about how those have prepared you for this role and what you bring to the table that might be different from other commissioners.
Sure. So I think one of the biggest assets that I bring as a civil engineer and still a licensed professional engineer in Florida, my background in stormwater engineering and permitting, I've done hundreds of projects, and I understand the science behind, when we get a Hurricane Milton and there's significant rainfall and there's flooding that happens, why does that happen and what are the limitations of our infrastructure? Some of those things can be addressed and some simply can't, because we can't design systems large enough to handle a once in a 500-year storm. Do we have to change some things on design elements? Probably. Are we going to be able to prohibit any flooding for indefinite time? Absolutely not. So understanding what we can do, and then understanding that's kind of the science side of it, but from the business side, the county government is essentially a very, very large business. And when you look at the different hats that we have to wear as a county, the different services we provide, and the different ways we have to direct and staff we have to manage, there are a lot of obligations. And there's a lot of things that we can execute correctly, and there's areas of opportunity. So for me to come in with the business experience and engineering experience, I can offer, I believe, some insight into how we can improve those. And I'm sure I'll learn a lot of things too of, hey, great idea, but not quite what we can do yet, but something we can work towards. And for me, patience as an engineer, there's projects that take years to get through permitting and then be developed, so I've got patience as well.
And I know you're getting ready to sit in on your first board meeting, which will probably bring to the community's attention that you are a new commissioner. Are you ready and looking forward to residents reaching out to you and wanting to voice their concerns and seeking your help?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my wife, if you asked her, probably one of my biggest attributes is being the problem solver. So no matter if it's in the family or business, or if it's a friend that just needs an ear to listen, it's one of those things I do, I think, pretty well, is to solve problems, but to solve them in a realistic way, meaning we don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. And so as a new commissioner, I'm sure there's going to be a wide variety of issues that would come up before me, and I want to do my best to offer solutions to those, or at least offer a reason of why we can't solve it, maybe exactly how the resident would like, but that we can at least offer some ideas and thoughts of how we can make it better.
Well, I wish you luck in the first year and beyond. I'm excited to see what you do with the county and the impact that you have. Is there anything you want to discuss before we wrap up?
No, I think it's a great opportunity. I appreciate PGTV and everything you guys do. This is a great platform for residents to really understand the behind-the-scenes workings. It's not just board meetings where decisions are made. I mean, we are truly working and understanding every day. And for those that are out there that want to reach out, it's always a pleasure to talk to residents. I'm not opposed to looking at sites that have issues and really considering what are viable solutions. So I appreciate the opportunity.
Well, I look forward to doing this with you again over the next 4 years and who knows how long. So
absolutely, thank you.
Welcome aboard. That's it for this episode of the Commissioner's Report. I'm your host, Jeff Foley, and we'll talk to you again soon. Thank you for watching. Please make sure to subscribe and like our social media.